Okay guys, so now we're going to look at some tactics on preventing the close guard happening in the first place. So prevention is always going to be the best tactic. Obviously we can't always help being put in close guard, but I find that sometimes we can give the position way too easily, especially when our focus is on pressure passing. When you're constantly driving forward and the main focus of this instructional is knee cutting, when you're constantly driving forward with that very aggressive style, where you're pressuring heavy with your partner while you're constantly attacking, sometimes if your game surrounding the attacks you're trying to do isn't clean, hasn't got good foundations, you can end up being put into the close guard or into any sort of bad space for yourself, whether it's close guard, X guard, whatever your partner's trying to do to you, right? So close guard is probably the worst thing to be stuck in my opinion, because you have to fully escape the position in order to start passing. I have to break the joint, I have to stand up, and as we previously looked at, when you escape the close guard, it can be quite scary. There's a lot of opportunity for my partner to attack, and you are fully in the joint of their close guard. You have to get out fully in order to start your passes. So we're going to look at some tactics to prevent it in the first place, okay? So it's really simple. I think the most obvious thing is I don't want to be on both of my knees like this, okay? I think this is pretty obvious, but sometimes, especially for people who are newer to jiu-jitsu, as obvious as it may seem to someone of a higher belt, even to myself earlier on, if I sat on both knees like this, very easy, my partner could hop their hips and connect here for close guard, okay? It may not look like this, right? We could be starting our match, we're engaged here, if you just have double sleeve, okay, here, okay? And I'm in a poor position, for example, spider guard. It doesn't have to be here, but just in a situation where my partner's really breaking my posture when I'm standing up on 2 feet. If I start to panic here, I may opt to drop to both my knees. And now you can see in this situation, he can shoot and connect his hips to mine very, very easily here. So I want to really prevent this. There could be opportunities where we can drop to both our knees, and there are great passes off of being on both of my knees, but I want to really avoid going there when I'm in such a close range. If I'm going to drop to both of my knees, say if you have like a spider guard, I will be dropping far away here. You can see now there's a big distance between mine and my partner's hips, and if he's trying to shoot the close guard, I need to lift at least one of my legs off of the mat. So as soon as I drop to both knees, it's a viable tactic, and it's something I do use when I drop low here to start to figure out what I'm going to do next, right? But if I'm dropping and I see Gabriel start to bring his hips in close, that's when I'm going to start to elevate one of my legs. So really simple. Avoiding 2 knees is going to be the best way, but in the instances where I'm using that as a tactic, I'm going to lift 1 knee off the mat. Now, people will lift their knee up in different ways. Look at the difference here. If I'm sat in this knee up position, my knee is connected to my chest. This means that if Gabriel tries to elevate his hips, okay, to connect to my hips are fully covered here, right? In a very low posture, my knee is directly connected to my chest. If you look at the difference here, where I'm sat back and there's distance, now he can hop over, like very easily with his hips. You see it in the situation. I'm here, right? I've got my knee connected to my chest, okay? He tries to shoot to close guard. He can't get his hips above my knee. But what people tend to do is they'll sit like this, right? With my knees very, very low. And now he has to just hop his hips and he can connect. Okay, so very kind of a dramatic example of that, or a very, may seem obvious example, but I find that that's what people do. Someone will say, oh, your coach will be in your corner. They'll say, put 1 knee up. You do so, but your knee is up off the mat, right? You have listened to what your coach told you, but you haven't done the correct posture. So it's just a small technical error that people can do. It's disconnected here. Now he can still hop his hips to close guard versus here. He tries to hop his hips to close guard. Much harder for him to get over my knee line. And now I can really start to pull myself in here with anchoring grips, okay? Another tactic you can look, and I also like to use this versus a De La Riva, works really well, is to squat pass. Now, this isn't achievable for everyone, okay? I'm gonna be fully honest. With different body types, different styles, but it's something still worth trying, even if you may not find that it's something that you think, you may look at this and be like, oh, that's not achievable with me, I'm not flexible. That it may not be the case that it's a reliant on flexibility. Still try and give the idea a go, right? So it can be here in the fist engagement with my partner, continue this way, okay? I'm gonna squat down into this low position here. So reasons why it's such a great position to play with in order to prevent close guard. If both my knees are up, my hips are now not exposed at all. So similar to the one knee up idea, only now when I'm up on both feet, okay, if we're thinking of the idea of I have a bigger partner versus me, I don't want to be, if that's the case, I really don't want to be pulled into close guard. If I have both my feet up and I'm up on my toes like this, okay, notice how I'm not sitting with my heels, it's not this. Okay, but you have to be very mobile. I'm on my toes and I can lean forward into my partner for balance, right? If you bring your legs to your chest, okay? Now, in this position, I can pop back up to my feet very easily. Whereas when I'm down with one knee on the mat, popping back up can be a lot more clumsy. And again, if you're struggling with your mobility, going up and down from here, being very committed to the mat, and then basing up can be a lot harder versus here. I can stand, come to the outside. I can be pressuring in. He's trying to shoot the close guard here. And now I can disengage and come to more outside style passing. When I do this low squat, okay, I'm leaning over my knees here, leaning forward into my partner. And it's a really good tactic, staying on the outside, going for more toreandos or loose style passing versus a close guard. As much as I love to pressure in, okay, and that's what we're going to look at predominantly in this instructional, sometimes my tactic has to be to remain on the outside, especially if they're consistently trying to pull me into close guard. If I'm on the outside here, now look, I'm controlling both of his legs, it's going to be very hard for him to achieve his position, right? Whereas when I'm playing more of a headquarter style, if he escapes one of his legs, here, now, and I drop the sleeve, look, he's achieved the close guard. So if my partner is very good at that position, I may opt to fully stay away from him, controlling the outside, controlling the double pants, and circling side to side, okay? So those are just some ideas in terms of avoiding the close guard, and then we'll look at some passes later.